serve his people. Thank you, sir. Would you like to say anything? I'd just like to thank the council and the city and the people here for their support on behalf of Central County Fire, the Sheriff's Office, and your Millbrae Police Bureau. We sincerely appreciate it, and we feel the support. Thank you. Okay, so I have this big old plaque, which I mean, you normally don't give out big plaques. I just want to say how special this is for us. And I see there's a big contingent of the Maltese population. Since I want to explain to people how important the Maltese population is to Millbrae. First of all, Millbrae is the only city in the United States that has a sister city relationship with any city in Malta. And interesting enough is that our city, that we're sister city, Malta, most of the people from Malta are from Malta. So I like to say that Millbrae is Malta Central in America. And so this award goes to a very special person who's been a very good friend of Millbrae, Luis Villa. And he's the Consulate General for Malta, representing Malta for the United States. And recently he received an extremely prestigious award from the President of Malta, the Győr Republica. And you will say it right, because I know I messed it up. It is equivalent to the Freedom of Medal Award, the highest civilian medal in the United States. So I'd like to ask Louis to come up here so I can present this award to him. Would the City Council like to come up and take a picture? Thank you very much.
This thing is in the way? Yeah, it's in the way.
No.
All right, cool. 1, 2, 3.
So does the Maltese delegation like to come up and take a picture too? Sure.
Come on up. Come on up, everybody.
Come on up. This is a special occasion. We don't do this every day.
Everyone, come on up. Come on, come on.
Don't be shy.
Maybe we should move out of the way and let them, would it be better if they did it this way?
We're good. You're good right there. I'll get up. Yeah. We can go out to the gentleman in the shirt.
Hey, how are you?
Big smiles. Yeah, he got.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3. Great pictures. Thank you.
How about a minute if you want to sit down? Okay. All right, good. Yes, I did take a couple of notes here. So the first note says, please don't forget to remember wife. Oh, okay, good. So, Honorable Mayor Lee and Honorable Councils and the City Manager, Executive Team, City Staff, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much. This is truly a tremendous honor. I'm very grateful, I am most humbled, and I am highly appreciative. Just let me start by introducing my wife, Lillian, who you saw up here. Lillian. And my daughter, Stephanie, and her husband, Dr. Craig Nimick, and grandsons, Craig, John, and Cole. And a number of many families and friends, and many of whom you know, including the Millbrae Woman of the Year and her family, who's here. Karen? There she goes. It was indeed a total surprise, and a pleasant one, I might add, when I received the news of this award. And come to think of it, when I received the email news from the Millbrae City Clerk's office, I was out of the country. I was in Malta. And if memory serves me right, I think I was in shorts and flip-flops when I read the message. Irrelevant information anyway, but I just wanted to paint a picture for you guys. I was very calm, casual, and relaxed. And I have to admit, the news did stiffen me up some. I felt I had to read the message about 3 dozen times. So anyway, I think maybe I should go away more often. I remember last December when I received the news that the President of Malta, Her Excellency Marie-Louise Calero-Preca, whom we all know very well due to her historic visit to Millbrae, was to honor me with the Medal of Service to the Republic, which is called Dzieje Republika. I remember I was traveling then too. I was in Washington, D.C., and when I received the message, our son, Kenneth, who was with me at the time, thought I was going to faint. I guess the color in my face changed as I stared at my iPhone. So, honors, awards, and recognitions are a beautiful way to express gratitude and appreciation. But the real and true rewards come when the people who place us, and by us I mean also, I'm referring to not just myself, but also to every elected and appointed official and others in positions of trust, when the people we represent give us their approval, their support, and their appreciation. It is not easy, I know. As councils, council members, and others in similar responsible positions, we are faced with difficult agenda items, controversial decisions, making situations, challenging choices, and unpopular positions. Being appointed or elected to a position of trust is a huge achievement, but that is only the beginning of the climb to higher accomplishments, success, and lasting results that will hopefully earn us the accolades, the acceptance, and the approval of the people we serve and the people who placed us in such positions. Thankfully, not everything and not all is burdensome and strenuous. There comes a time when on the agenda we have an item that says awards and commendation. That would be a pleasant and fun item to have on the agenda. Tonight, we have a sizable crowd in attendance, almost a full house. And I'm guessing that everyone present tonight is here to listen and analyze the interesting and exciting deliberations of all the items on the council agenda, correct? Correct, okay.
No, they're here for you.
Let's see a show of hands here tonight, those who came because of the awards and commendations item on the agenda. Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, that to me looks like a clear mandate that the people of Millbrae would like to see more fun items on the agenda.
Me too.
This is also a clear message to me, to you, to any elected or appointed official or anyone in a position of trust, that while we have to deal with complicated issues and challenging situations, we need to find a balance, a path, how to be constructive, productive, and at the same time, we also need to find a way to keep positive and respectful, and also to have fun doing what we do to the very best of our ability. Thank you.
Okay, Luis, don't go away. I forgot. There's also we have a commendation from the Supervisor Pine's office, and Randy Trio here is presenting.
So when Supervisor Pine heard that you were getting this honor, he wanted me to come and extend the congratulations of the county. And I know whenever I talk to Louis, it leads me to tell other people what a great place Malta is and that they should visit. And I've never even been there, but that's the kind of enthusiasm he has. And he's definitely put it on my list of places to go. So from Supervisor Dave Pine and the entire San Mateo County Board of Supervisors, congratulations on this well-deserved honor.
Thank you, Randy.
Trent. my agenda. No, I got it. Okay, and congratulations to you, Louis, and the family. And I thought you were going to say I was floored by getting the award from President Bricka, and I'm just very gratified that you find our city in such high esteem. Thank you, Louis. Okay, so the next award we have is for combination for a person who's served 41 years as an employee at Walgreens, and that's quite a feat because Walgreens is always busy and very demanding. I know I have lots of friends who work at Walgreens. So is Jan here? Janice here? Come on up, Janice. So we're recognizing 41 years of dedicated service, and we're always dealing with sick people. They're not always in their best behavior, so I just want to thank you for making them feel better.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Shelley, can we come up? Shelley Riders is the program manager for our sustainability program, and she is one of our biggest. One of the programs that we really support, and she does a fabulous job. And you've done the cleanups and all the information stream, getting those really cool straws, by the way. I really like those straws. Now, I know you're working on those boba straws, which would be the next step. Yep. So, and also you helped our young students try to get a grant for Millbrae, so that was very much appreciated. But this is not about you. It's about National Pollution Prevention Week, and I just want to acknowledge the fact that even though we started this the Prevention Pollution Week Act in 1990, 29 years ago, we still have a lot of ways to go. Our planet is taxed. There's not enough water. The population is exploding. Of course, you see the effects of climate change. So we have a lot of things to do. So that keeps Shelley busy, keeps all of us council members busy, and I just want to say that everybody has a part in it, including the fact that you are subscribing to Peninsula Clean Energy, which is whose goal is to provide all renewable energy by 2024. And since you are the purveyors of that electric company, you're doing your part to trying to keep our Earth livable. So, Shelley, thank you for your service, and thank you for representing our city.
Thank you, Mayor Lee, and good evening, members of the City Council. I just wanted to talk about the events we're having for Pollution Prevention Week and how we're celebrating it. First, we're having an education table on Wednesday, September 8th, right downtown in Millbrae Square. We'll be there from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. We'll greet everyone. We'll provide handouts and answer any questions about our local environment. And then the annual Coastal Cleanup Day, which is on Saturday, September 1st, starting at 9:30 at Central Park on the Palm Avenue side. We'll meet there, and then we'll disperse and do a citywide cleanup and beautify Millbrae. I hope everyone can join us. Thank you.
Okay, so do I have Michelle Rice? Michelle, come on up, please. This is something I know a lot about. So, Michelle, thank you for bringing this to attention, and the city is very happy to bring awareness to pain management. About 100 million Americans live with chronic pain. It's a serious issue. It costs about $560 to $630 billion annually in medical costs and lost wages and lost productivity. It negatively impacts everybody, including my son. So it's something that it's not an easy thing. I think medical science has come a long way, but we still have a ways to go. Yeah. So, would you like to say something?
Is it okay?
Yeah, please.
Hello, my name is Michelle Rice, and I'm a U.S. Pain Foundation ambassador and patient advocate. Because of stigma and even shame, people with pain are often afraid to speak up about their experiences. But sharing our stories, whether with loved ones, coworkers, clinicians, or policymakers, is essential to creating awareness and positive change. For Pain Awareness Month this year, U.S. Pain Foundation is focusing its efforts around the theme, Let's Talk About Pain. Tonight, I'm going to share some of my own pain journey with you. As you watch me or listen to me speak with you, I may look healthy, but I actually live with an intractable pain condition. The morning of September 21st, 2000, I was a healthy, happy fourth grade school teacher with a bright future ahead of me that was filled with hopes and dreams. Later that afternoon, the custodian mopped the floor in front of my classroom, but failed to put up any signs or cones to warn people of the wet floor. In the seconds that it took for me to slip and fall, I joined the club that I never wanted to be a part of. I became one of the 50 million Americans living with chronic pain. My fall led to a rare condition called reflex sympathetic dystrophy, also known as complex regional pain syndrome. It's the most painful condition known to man. The pain is rated higher than non-terminal cancer, amputation of a digit, and even childbirth. It's been around since the Civil War, and there is no cure. Over the next several years, I would need the use of a wheelchair. I became bedridden, living in my childhood bedroom at my parents' house, and I couldn't drive. To say I was over-medicated would be an understatement. But despite all the medications, I was still in excruciating pain. The pain was so severe that I could not wear pants because just the fabric touching my knee was unbearable. If I went outside, I often had to hold a blanket in front of me just to keep the air from touching my skin. After years of trial and error of various medications, doctors, invasive and risky procedures, and therapies, but still unable to function due to pain, I was blessed to be referred to 2 chronic pain programs that would eventually help me to turn my life around. With extreme determination, I eventually got off all opioid medication. I learned how to walk again. I learned how to drive with the use of an adapted car. I live on my own, and most importantly, I found a new purpose in life. I was watching a TV show called Yellowstone starring Kevin Costner, and a few episodes back, his character said something that resonated with me. He said, "You can't fix a broken wagon wheel, but you can use the parts to make a new one." I feel that's what I've done with my life. Complex regional pain syndrome and the half dozen or so other conditions that it led to changed the course of my life and left me feeling broken. Eventually, I combined my personality and physical limitations to build a new life with new hopes and dreams. I still live in pain. In fact, more parts of my body are affected by pain now, and I have more pain conditions and symptoms to deal with than I did 19 years ago, but I've learned how to live a happy life despite pain. Volunteering and advocating for the pain community is what now fills my heart. September is not only Pain Awareness Month, but tomorrow we will commemorate the anniversary of 9/11. I can't think of a more meaningful time to talk to you regarding the impact that chronic pain has on our country. Many of the survivors of 9/11, including first responders, ended up as part of our pain community just because they went to work that day. The same could be said for our veterans of all ages. Dealing with pain is hard for anyone, but it's especially difficult for children. Pain can affect children's quality of life, including their ability to engage in normal childhood activities and to learn in school. To complicate matters, children may have difficulty expressing symptoms and coping with the challenges they face. Pain awareness is important all year, but particularly during September. Without awareness, there is no motivation for finding new treatments or research for a cure. People often ask what they specifically can do to support and help the pain community. One way, as a city, is to grant this proclamation tonight, recognizing September's Pain Awareness Month. So I thank you for this support, Mayor and City Council members. Another way to be supportive is to read and pass along the information I've provided in the U.S. Pain Foundation resource bags. I encourage you to visit our website, uspainawarenessmonth.com, to see how you can participate in Pain Awareness Month. You can also see how the country, including the San Francisco Bay Area, is supporting its pain warriors through awareness campaigns such as Shine Blue for Pain, Beautify in Blue, and proclamations. We also host special events, webinars, social media campaigns, giveaways, and more, including our Storyathon videos. Everything is free, and just by reading or watching and sharing our posts on social media, you are helping to create change. You can also visit uspainfoundation.org to see what advocacy is going on across the country, or visit invisibleproject.org, whose goal is to show the reality of life with pain through photos and stories, and to offer hope and inspiration to the millions like me, a person living with an invisible condition. Finally, I leave you with 3 specific tips to help someone you know that is living with chronic pain. 1 is to offer to run errands for them. 2 is offer to drive them to appointments. 3, and most importantly, is to listen and believe them. As our interim CEO, Nicole Hemingway, stated, we need to remove the stigma and shame. We need to discuss the challenges. We need to advocate for more research and access to care. And we need to see the warrior within. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. And I just want to remind you, if you want more information, you can go to uspainfoundation.org. That is uspainfoundation.org. And I guarantee you, unfortunately, everybody will have pain at some time in their lifetime. Yep. Okay. Moving right along, don't worry, we're getting there. We have our recognition of, we just had Labor Day weekend, and the Chamber, our annual Labor Day weekend, we had a very busy weekend, but that's the time for people to celebrate, and that's what Millbrae does the best. They celebrate Labor Day weekend with an art and wine festival, and this year they had the Mid-Autumn Festival, which we will talk about later. But this is for our recognition of those men and women who work and make things happen in our country, and they build our buildings, and they also provide the critical services that we all take for granted. Julie and Mark, would you like to come up, please? So Julie Rudd is from the Labor Council, and Mark Mark Leach? Teamsters. Oh, and we have James Gomez from the Buildings and Trades. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
Let me take a quick picture.
Sure.
I showered, I promise.
Did you? Oh, okay.
Okay, so would you like to say something? We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. See how quickly they abandoned me. Yeah, everyone saw that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the Council, for making the decision to formally honor Labor Day and the historical contributions of the labor movement. I'm honored to be here today with my colleagues Mark Leach from Teamsters 856 and our head of the Building Trades, James Gomez, and to be here on behalf of the nearly 80,000 workers we represent who do the jobs that keep this city and our county such a great place to live, work, and raise a family. For us, Labor Day isn't just about picnics and barbecues. It's a chance for us to come together to remember the struggles of the past, get reinvigorated for the fights of the present, and to prepare for the challenges and opportunities of the future. Today, the national approval rating for labor unions is higher than it has been in the last 50 years. 64% of American people believe in us. They know that we bargain for the common good and that the gains of our members benefit workers everywhere. In 2017, more than 250,000 people joined unions, and 3/4 of that were under 35. In 2018, 500,000 people walked picket lines, the most in a generation, and the momentum is only building. We fight for respect from our employers and our coworkers, a say in our working conditions, quality health care, secure retirement, advancement opportunities, and a voice in the implementation of technical innovations. It's because of unions that we have the concept of an 8-hour day and of the weekend. It was unions that helped end child labor. It was a labor movement that won widespread employer-based health coverage and spearheaded the fight for the Family Medical Leave Act. And many of our workplace protections are because of the labor movement. The proclamation that your city has presented today both honors the achievements of our predecessors and supports the work we do today to combat inequality and fight for economic and social justice. Thank you again for this honor, for your support, and for your commitment to working people everywhere. Thank you.
I just wanted to add, because I come from a labor family on both sides, all the way down to my grandfather when we came over from Scotland. But in Millbrae, we have 3,544 labor workers, retirees, and family members. So out of a city of 23,000, to have over 3,500 union family members is really amazing to me. And we cover all the unions. Obviously, we've got a lot from the airline industry, but I know that we've got pipe fitters and steam fitters and constructions, building trades, and it is an honor to come from a union family, and I'm very happy. What I really hope is that all Americans remember that Labor Day isn't just for hot dogs, that Labor Day really was a long, centuries-old fight and a future fight to make sure that we all live and work in a safe, or we all have a safe work environment, and we all get paid well, and we all get our wages, and all of those things that the unions fight for. So thank you for being here tonight.
Okay, thank you for your comments. I just have to reiterate that I think that we take things for granted to some of the things that labor does for us, and I think that let me also say that this day and age, with computers taking jobs away from manufacturing, taking away from managerial services, I think that the one safe vocation is actually skilled labor. I think that's the only where you're going to be, where we're always going to need somebody to fix things, make things, repair things, and I think that's always going to be the case. So you just can't replace that. Thank you for coming to represent labor and all the things you do to protect those people who, and all the laborers, and make. I think everybody really benefits from that. Thank you very much. And also, I think this is a good opportunity to also say that Councilwoman Pappen has brought it to my attention that we ought to look at our minimum wage structures in the city and look at, yes, I think it's very well known we can't hire, it's hard for businesses to hire people. It makes total sense to look at our minimum wage our policies and ordinances. Thank you. Okay, so on to, we also, this group is a brand new group, and they put on a successful festival, and Millbrae is becoming a very good place to come and bring your families to celebrate and gather together and do things together as families. And one of those groups that started to form to do that, just that, to bring opportunities for city activities where people can congregate and different cultures can mingle, is the Millbrae Cultural Committee. And so I just want to ask, can we ask the committee to come up? So this committee, which is the city's thanking you for putting together a successful Mid-Autumn Festival, the first in the county and the only one in the county, on September 2nd. And it was about 3,000 to 4,000, 5,000 people who were there. And I thought that it was a good opportunity for people to sample, the Autumn Moon Festival, where moon cakes were served, and there was Chinese lanterns, and there was different types of activities that people could sample. So I just want to thank the committee for making it a great festival. And does anybody like to speak?
Don't forget the celebrity chef.
Oh, yeah. Oh, celebrity chef Martin Yang. Thank you to JoJo Show for helping us get Martin Yang to come. He was a big hit. He taught me how to cook. And I think they have a presentation. Lynn, can you put this on the... Yes, so let's take a picture first.
I think you guys move forward will be great for the photo. Yeah. Your last council meeting. That means you need to come back.
I got you guys. Yeah. All right. Everyone looks good. 1, 2, 3.
All you guys have to do is press play. Okay.
So I'd like to acknowledge our two planning commissioner, Alan Wong and Andres Fung, as part of the committee. Thank you for helping out. And I'd like to introduce you to President Niwa Chang. Would you please introduce everybody?
Hi, everyone. We have some members here today. First one, I want to introduce Alice Kwong, and she plays an important role in this event this time. And so we want to thank Alice and everyone, yes, and Margaret. Margaret was on vacation when we planned the event. However, she kind of remotely control and it contributed her advice from Europe. Yeah, and then Lisa is also our board member, and she works in the Comerica Bank in Millbrae, and she really she's the first time helping our event, but really give us a really good help. And then John Chen is my better half, and he's also a board member. And we also have Alan and Anders helping us, and Jojo, yeah. Mary Lee just mentioned that Jojo was the person introduced Martin Yen to help us. And also Jojo helped us a lot in creating our beautiful logo. And then the logo, and then it means a lot to us is the Millbrae Cultural Community, that we want to build a stronger community with the diverse cultures, and so we choose a single color, red, and because we think that all color people are equal and we all work together. And so the C, you can see that the different people and holding hands, and we kind of try to unite everybody, and then we kind of like as a committee, and everybody give the commitment, and we work with the cooperation and a lot of collaboration, and also we try to build a good community. So, and then now I'm going to show you these photos, and Mary Lee told us that to prepare a photo presentation, so it's about 3.5 minutes, and bear with us. And so you may see some familiar faces there, future movie stars. And so, okay.
Actually, we have not mentioned 2 other members who are not here today. First one is John Muniz. He's on vacation. This is truly what he needed after the long planning session. And the other person is Vivian Lee. She's also not available today. They both need a break. And also Marian Kong is also absent today. So there are 3 other members. And forgot to mention Mayor Lee. He is the one who called this committee together at the beginning of this year. So our group is newly formed, and we are happy to continue to pull all the residents together and collaborate together.
And one more thing is that MCC is a newly established organization. We already got the 501c3 approved. So we're a nonprofit organization, and we really need a lot of people's support. And then, so now I'm going to show you the show. We started about like 12:30, but our DPW workers started at 9:30. So it's a Labor Day, but we all work hard and voluntarily helping our community. Also, we promote the Neighborhood Watch program, and our city really is working on this, and the MCC is helping in translation too. On that day, I think everybody has a different estimate. Our Mayor Lee estimated about 5,000 people, and some people say maybe 2,000. So we just say thousands people. And we all got the 52 vendors. And then actually, we only spent 6 weeks. We started this idea to have this event on July 19. And Alice said, oh, because the Beats and Brew did a wonderful job, so we want to copy that. And then we have the city support, and we got the 2 blocks in Broadway. And it's amazing if we, without the city support, we cannot do it. And if we don't have the vendor support, we cannot make it. And if we don't have the audience to come, we cannot make it. So it's really a team effort. MCTV also helping us do some recording. And then we have about 50 volunteers show up that day. And our board members also helping get some donations from some restaurants and to feed our volunteers. And Martin is really a special guest in that event, and he really attracted a lot of audience to come. And I think he said he will come back next year. So
he said he would do it for free too.
And this time we got 2 bands, Ocean Band and Idea Band, and also a dancer group. And so they really make it the whole event success. And people did stay late and dance in the street. Yeah. So a lot of people already asking us whether we will do this event next year. I think with support from the city members and the city staff, I think we will try again. And so thanks for Key, thanks for Tom, and thanks for all the staff. Thanks for everyone show up that day. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again. Okay, so we're going to start the not-so-fun part. Well, there's one more fun part, but we have some business, so anybody who needs to get on with their lives, you may. I think we're going to have Louis come to these things more often. Okay. Yeah, we'll see you there. Congratulations, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, look out behind you. Behind you. Behind you. Tom. Tom, oh, sorry. Okay. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, we know where we want to be. Yep. Okay, so City Manager Tom Williams, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, and community. My name is Tom Williams, City Manager. So the item number 2 is the agenda overview and staff briefing. We have our calendar of events in the agenda packet, reports of bills and claims, and then a report out of closed session from July 23rd, 2019. Item number 3 is approval of the meeting minutes for the regularly scheduled meeting of June 11th, 2019 and July 23rd, 2019. This evening, we do not have anything on the agenda for oral reports from city committees or commission chairs. And there are then we move on to public communication. And that's for any member of the audience that wishes to speak for 3 minutes or less on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. After public comment, we move to the consent calendar. We have a lengthy consent calendar this evening, starting with item number 5. Item number 5 is to reject by motion 3 bids received for the Millbrae Historic Museum and Fire Station 38 Landscape Improvement Project. Item number 6 is approval of the library parking lot closure and fee waiver of $3,402 in staff costs and rental fees for the annual Japanese Cultural Festival to be held on October 6th, 2019. Item number 7 is the resolution approving the first addendum to agreement with HP Consulting Group. Item number 8 is resolution approving the second addendum to the agreement with Trent Sunahara for professional services for strategic communications as our public information officer. Item number 9 is to consider authorizing by motion a sponsorship in the amount of $10,000 for the 101st Airborne Division, the 2019 Bastogne Ball. Item number 10 is to approve by motion street closures for the San Bruno Rotary Club. There's an Education Foundation 5K run occurring on October 12th, 2019, and part of that run goes around Cappuccino High School and enters the city of Millbrae. Item number 11 on consent calendar is to reject by motion 3 bids that we received for the fiscal year 2019-2020 as needed sanitary sewer repair and replacement project. Item number 12 is to consider a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the first addendum with VA Consulting Engineers. Item number 13 is to consider a resolution accepting the Old Bayshore Highway and Rollins Road pavement repair project as complete. Item number 14 is to consider a resolution awarding a construction contract to Carrick Engineering Incorporated for the 30 Arroyo Seco storm drain replacement project. Moving on to public hearings, there are no public hearings this evening. Item number 15 is to receive the information report on the green infrastructure plan in accordance with the municipal regional permit requirements and approved by motion the city's green infrastructure plan. It's important that that be approved this evening based on some deadlines that are coming up. Item number 16 is acceptance of the Millbrae Recreation Center schematic design. Moving on to new business, item number 17 is an information item on the process for the regional housing needs assessment and allocation. Then moving on to council comments. After council comments, we will convene into closed session regarding real property negotiations for the city-owned property. It's 0.73 acres located and bounded by Millbrae Avenue, Linden, Sarah, and Railroad Avenues, known as APN number 024-335-080 and parcel 024-335-090. The parties are Calvano Development in the city of Millbrae. So, Mr. Mayor, if I may, just some quick updates. City Manager report. As was mentioned earlier, our very successful Beats and Brews will be held this Thursday, September 12th on Broadway. The event starts at 5 p.m. with the band starting at 6 p.m., 6 to 8. The band this month is the As Is Band. 2 local community members, Gary Pellegrini and Bob Garrison, are part of that band, so we expect a very large crowd. And just for note, we were planning to have 2 events, but it's been so successful that we were asked by the downtown business community to add a 3rd event. So we're very excited on the success and very excited that their success of the local merchants and restaurants during this particular program. We also, as was mentioned earlier, will be signing people up that are interested in starting a neighborhood watch program in their neighborhood. Also, we have Millbrae Goes to the Movies. We will be showing Incredibles 2 on September 20th at Central Park. Games, snacks, and the free screening of Incredibles 2. This has been a great event all summer long. The event starts at 6 p.m. with the movie starting at dark. Also, we have Coastal Cleanup coming up on Saturday, September 21st from 9:30 to 12 noon. We are asking for volunteers and community members to come out and help make our community and bay and picking up trash along our parkways, streams, creeks, and the coastline throughout the state. But here in Millbrae, our parks, to make Millbrae a cleaner community that day. Volunteers will meet at Central Park and then move on to areas and be divided by teams throughout the community. To volunteer, you can register on our website at cly@ci.millbrae.ca.us or contact our City Hall at 650-259-2397. We also, on September 25th, have a Millbrae SunShare Solar and Electric Vehicle Workshop. This is sponsored by PCE. This was a program that was held about 6 months ago. Very successful, great turnout to learn about electric vehicles, as well as solar panels and alternative forms of energy for people's residents and businesses. The workshop begins at 7 p.m. and will take place at the Millbrae Library.
PCE's Peninsula Clean Energy.
Thank you. Also, we have the second of the Traffic Calming Community Workshop. That's scheduled for Thursday, October 10th, here at the City of Millbrae City Hall, starting at 6:30 p.m., and staff will continue to lead the community in discussions to identify areas that we've received feedback from local residents on traffic control and speed reduction. And then, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to say a few words on some and then kind of clear the air on an item that was brought up over the weekend. There's been some recent incorrect information that surfaced over the weekend regarding an event that recognized Chinese National Day. The event and postings on social media were incorrectly communicated to the Millbrae public by people that were posting on social media. And for the record, the event was not a city-sponsored event. The city council had no knowledge of the event, and it was an event that was requested by a private group to lease space or to rent space here at City Hall for their event. The City of Millbrae receives many requests to use our facilities. Since the unfortunate fire damage of our community center, we have less meeting space than we have available, and so we try to accommodate all of the needs of the community. So the City Council and staff were committed to the First Amendment. We're committed to being fair and giving equal access to all to hold meetings here at City Hall. So I just wanted to provide that for the record. And clear up any miscommunication that occurred over the weekend regarding that event. So that concludes City Manager's update and presentation, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Is there any questions? I'd also like to mention that I know you mentioned that there's the cities of Burlingame, San Bruno, and Millbrae are rallying the other cities and city counties to support an effort to Unite Against Hate campaign, which would be on November 12th, I believe. November 12th to the 24th or something like that. Anyway, so look on your calendars. You'll see those activities posted on the city calendars, and this is just a campaign to bring awareness to there is more love than hate, and that we should stand up against hate. Anybody who sits and not say anything is pretty much contributing to it. In this day and age where there's a lot of misinformation, and there are a lot of outside foreign countries trying to divide us, this is the time we really need to come together. And if we don't, then it's going to cause more hatred. It's going to cause fear and more anxiety. And this is just time we need to set examples for our children, really. The children are watching what's going on, and they're looking to us to lead them. And if we don't fix this, then it's going to be dire consequences for our country. And this is exactly what generals and national security advisors have been telling us, that we need to stand up against division and hate. So we're going to do something about this in the week of the 17th to the 23rd, something like that. I'll find. We'll let you know what the dates are. We haven't figured out what the dates are, but we know that there's. You can go to the website, just look it up. Stand United Against Hate. All right, thank you. And I think we have a report from our city attorney.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Council met in closed session on July 23rd to discuss real estate negotiations. There were no reportable actions taken during that session. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney Mike Conran. Okay, so we have minutes of June 11th and July 23rd. Can we take them together, or you need to separate? No, we're going to do roll call. Oh, okay. Yeah, you can put motion, yeah. Yes?
Thank you. So also there's some amendments to the June 11th meeting minutes.
Okay.
It's in your purple folder.
All right.
And I thought they were perfect.
It's red lines with just a few minor changes.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. And could you do a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Aliva?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holliver?
Ruben?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay. Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes for June 11th and also July 23rd passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, public comments. So we have several slips, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes. When you see the yellow light, that means you have 30 seconds to sum up. And the expressions made by speakers do not reflect what the city's policies are, and city council members cannot take action because it's not on the agenda on any item that's spoken on the public comment section unless it's already on the agenda. So I have Wynn Gerkridge. Laura, is that you? Okay, Laura. Pascal.
I think sometimes our elected officials forget who they work for. It is your duty to put the community first and protect them. October 2017, Governor Brown passed AB 967 to liquefy dead bodies. It goes into effect in 2020. The problem is no consideration was taken for those of us who are forced to drink toilet to tap. The bodies will be boiled in a vat of water with lye and poured down the drain. Once recycled and blended, we will be drinking it, bathing in it, and it will go on our crops. It's cannibalism. I'm asking you officials to stop this before it starts. Either get AB 967 revoked or ban it in your city and don't issue permits to liquefy dead bodies. This bill was stopped 2 times before. It's not necessary. The EPA is already supposed to be monitoring smokestacks over crematories. They can use filters and scrubbers on the chimneys. Making our water more toxic is not the answer. Sweden freeze-dries dead bodies, breaks it into crystals, and then buries them under trees. We can do the same and bury them in the forest. No consideration was given to our health. As the bodies get flushed down the drain and are recycled, what will the lye do to our bodies? Will we disintegrate too? I don't understand how a hypodermic needle can be considered medical waste and a dead body's tissues not be. Are you willing to consume water with a person that died of hepatitis, AIDS, or mad cow disease? No consideration was taken for the disintegrating infrastructure either. Over time, this 5% lye solution will have effects on our sewer lines. Dr. Wynn Parker said we should have the right to vote for what goes in our food and water. I prefer mine without dead bodies. Union City Sanitary District wrote, nutrients such as nitrogen, ammonia, and phosphorus in the water bodies have been a nationwide concern for many years. Though the San Francisco Bay has a long history of high nutrient levels, elements such as tidal action, turbidity, and the presence of clams have reduced the adverse effects. They also say nutrients are naturally occurring compounds that may cause algae to grow faster than the ecosystem can handle, leading to adverse impacts to the water quality, food resources, inhabitants of all, well as decreases in oxygen the fish and the aquatic life may need to survive. Naturally occurring? Baloney. The Alameda County Water District, just one of 37, uses the disinfectant chloramine. It is made by adding ammonia to the chlorinated water. That explains where the ammonia and the nitrogen is coming from. The ammonia does not dissipate like chlorine did. Dr. Wynn Parker informed the Millbrae City Council and the Bay Area Water Agencies almost 2 decades ago that chloramine causes collateral health damage.
Thank you.
He indicated that our water agencies expect us to be human processing plants.
Thank you. Okay, Wynn, your turn. Thank you.
I'm going to talk about AB 9672. My friend Mike Francois was in Cooley Landing in East Palo Alto and met Jackie Spears there and Congress Lady Anna Issue. And he handed him these papers that I've been handing out through this, this council here. And she claims Jackie Spears and Anna Issue knew nothing about this. Isn't that amazing? They claim that they're federal senators and Congress ladies, but they represent this state. And if 14 states are doing this and they want to go nationwide to disintegrate dead bodies and pour them down the drain, I would think that they would know, especially since Jackie Spears is the one who fluoridated the rest of this state, and they put the poison fluorosililic acid in Menlo Park and East Palo Alto in 2005 because of her. And that stuff is also causing the algae bloom in the water. But what amazes me is that when people like Marge Codipietro, she doesn't want to see my papers or know anything about it, Jackie Spears said that we need to contact Jerry Hill. Now, Mark Hirschman's Jerry Hill's lawyer. You all know Mark Hirschman. He was the mayor here. Now, he proved this. So when our Congress and senators that are local, Mullins is your state assembly, he was from South City, he approved this. This is a Democratic government, and the people here in this state are the ones who put this through, and we did not have the right to vote on it. And they shouldn't have done this for the fact that there's a healthier way to get rid of dead bodies by freeze-drying them the way Sweden does. You can even look it up on YouTube. So why didn't we have this choice? Why did these people choose this for us? Because this is going to increase the cancer death rates in the Bay Area. It makes more money for the pharmaceutical companies and these hospitals. And don't think this isn't going to have a problem when we have an earthquake, because at this lie at pH of 11 and 350 degrees going down your sewer lines, it's going to cause the pipes to break if we have an earthquake. This is an accident waiting to happen. And if we sit here and allow this to happen, it's our fault. They worked for us. You need to call Jerry Hill. You need to call Mullins. You need to call, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom was part of this. He was lieutenant governor when this bill was signed. He knew it. And this was not put in the newspaper until after it was signed. We had no notice of this. I helped get this stopped in 2010 and 2011. And I have a paper right there that shows it. So it's kind of funny how it's on public record. But the fact, too, is that when you sit there and do nothing and allow these people to make the water more carcinogenic, is this good for the community? Is this good for your health? Is this good for your children? They're mutating your genes and increasing cancer death rates. And we can stop this. You got 4 months. If we don't get this stopped before 2020, it's all over. You're going to see more death rates going up, especially when they start putting the 5G things in everywhere. But remember this one here. This was in the San Mateo Times. Treated sewage is still contaminated. They can't even get the phthalates, bisphenol A, and tricosans out.
Thank you.
They certainly can't do this stuff with lye.
Thank you. Marion Lee from Lighthouse Public Affairs. Sure, whatever. I'm easy. Mark Cabano from Cabano Development. Mr. Cabano.
Yes, thank you. Mayor Lee and council members, welcome back from your vacation. I hope you enjoyed your time off. As you know, I'm Mark Calvano, and I'm proposing a public-private partnership with the City of Millbrae for the development of a TOD project, a mixed-use hotel, retail, and office project adjacent to the Millbrae Station. In advance of the council's closed session tonight, I would like to reiterate my request for an exclusive right to negotiate agreement, commonly referred to as an ERNA or ENRA, so that a working relationship could be formalized as we undertake the next steps to move forward with the project. To be clear, an ENRA is not any final approval or any approval. It's only a beginning. It's a beginning to fully explore this project and proposal and allows you the opportunity to grant final approval. It also allows me to start discussions with tenants and hotel flags in earnest. As a sign of my continued belief and vision in the project, on August 27th, I formally submitted the project to the City of Millbrae for preliminary review. Our submittal ensures that planning staff has the information necessary to thoroughly evaluate the project. Today, I have also provided the city with a check for $70,000 to facilitate the city's review of the project. This advance deposit is intended to be spent on general project management and administration and tasks related to the ownership of the land upon approval of the streets being vacated. Also, for tasks related to financial review of the analysis that I submitted to each of you today. Let's see here. I have also provided each of you, scratch that, the package that I submitted goes far beyond what I was asked to submit. Current estimates show that the project will generate over $11,000 a day for the community. And every day it's delayed is an $11,000 the community does not receive. Finally, in addition to the tremendous tax and ground lease income the proposal will generate, I am also proposing to make a $15 million donation to the community center.
Yeah, I know. Mr. Cabano, can you please sum up, or are you just taking Marion's time?
What's that?
You have 3-minute limit, sir. No, you have a 3-minute limit. Do you want to? Are you gonna? I'm
just gonna.
Okay.
Wrap it up and just say.
Restart the clock, please.
I'm sorry. I'll just wrap it up. Let's see. I will just say there's much work to be done, and an ENRA is the beginning, and I look forward to the beginning with each of you on this project. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. No, that's fine.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, my name is, and council members, my name is Marion Lee, and I actually know a few of you from my previous life. I worked with Caltrain on the electrification project. I just left the public sector and have joined the private sector, and I'm with Lighthouse Public Affairs. We're under contract with Calvano Development, so I'm here speaking as part of the Calvano team. I am the newest member of the team, and we thought it would be helpful to introduce myself to you as we're anxious to advancing the project. We know it's important to line up the right resources and have the right folks to tackle the many difficult issues that would be associated with doing transit-oriented development around the Millbrae station. I appreciated much of the multiple agencies involved. You've got Caltrain, High Speed Rail, Samtrans, private landowners, city interest, and we dealt with that when I was working over on the Caltrain side. We understand that a priority issue for the city is in dealing with the multimodal issues at the station. There's bus bay issues, there's kiss and ride drop-off. It is a regional transit hub that I know you know better than I, the significance of that, and needing to get that right as we advance a transit-oriented development in the area. What I'm hoping to do as part of the development team, I still have good relations with people in the multiple agencies, and I'm hoping as we get to the next phase of the project to bring that relationship and skill set to address many of the issues in partnership with the city. That was kind of my job when I was over at Caltrain, to sort of problem solve, and I'm hoping that I can be helpful and bring something to the table. So I look forward to working on the project. I know I'm over on the private side, but I still eye very meaningful projects that are beneficial to communities, and super excited about this project. So I look forward to working with you, and it's good to see a lot of you again.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker is Joshua Kim.
Joshua Kim.
Hello and good evening. My name is Joshua Kim from the International Youth Fellowship, the IYF, an international nonprofit 501c3 organization. The IYF strives to deliver happiness and joy to our communities around the world using musical arts, dance performances, leadership build-ups, team leader exercises, mental, physical, and spiritual development. Currently, this fall, we are presenting the award-winning Gracias Choir and Orchestra to stage Christmas cantata in 29 different cities of North America. On September 28th, 2019, 7 p.m. at Cow Palace in Daly City, the Gracias Choir and Orchestra is inviting all of Northern California communities to the world-famous Gracias Christmas Cantata. To request your free e-tickets, you are able to register on the link on the flyers. Gracias Choir, the Gracias Christmas Cantata is a show-stopping musical event that has been performed in venues like the Sydney Opera House and the Madison Square Garden, as well as many other stages around the world. With 3 beautiful stages, filled stages, and one eternal message of hope, Gracias Christmas Cantata instills in the audiences the true meaning of Christmas, which is the birth of hope, love, and God's forgiveness in our hearts. Our goal is to deliver awareness to as many people as we can, so we would like to promote this free admission event with the help of the City Council. In addition, we personally want to invite all of the government officials and staff members in the city of Millbrae. I would also love to RSVP personally to Mayor Wayne Lee to the Gracias Christmas Cantata. Also, we are seeking for your help of the following. We are currently recruiting volunteers to help host, manage, and operate the Christmas cantata here in the Bay Area. To register as a volunteer, we do have a link, and we can also share that to you. If you know any other organization, communities, or members who would like to volunteer, we would love to receive those recommendations via emails, telephone, and also in person. In conclusion, more than emails and telephones, we would appreciate to schedule an appointment to all city council members, city mayors, city managers, and all at your convenience to further discuss the future youth development in the Bay Area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kim, and good luck to you. All right. And let's see, finally, Ms. Lee, Kitty Lee, says here you want 10 minutes. Unfortunately, I can only give you 3 minutes. No worries, no worries.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. My name is Kitty. I have been a Millbrae resident for the last 12 years. I'm a little bit ashamed to say this is my first council meeting tonight, which it's always exciting. So please excuse me, this is not the proper, if I say anything that is not proper. Anyway, I want to piggyback on Mr. Williams' comment about the post that went viral. this weekend regarding what took place. And I want to give the city definitely an opportunity to perhaps clear your name. The reason why the post went viral was the flyer itself suggested the linkage between raising the communist flag at city property, at city location, particularly at this chamber, with elected officials. Of course, as you can imagine, as Millbrae residents, we're all concerned, and we were told at one point that the event was canceled, then later on actually took place. Now again, this is my declaration. I'm not here to bash anybody. I'm Chinese, so I'm definitely not biased against one party over the other. My true concern is that this is public event, public facility. I understand that the community center was burned down and someone needs to rent a place. But at what point do we stop? Can someone come in and say, I am a member of the KKK, so I should rent a hall here at the city chambers and celebrate our formation of our local chapter? My guess is that I think some additional exercise should be, practice should be, I guess, protocol should be in place going forward so that we don't have any confusion. Again, my claim is I'm not here to bash anybody. I love for actually be all one big happy family. But again, the way how this was brought along, whoever organized this particular event made it seem like that there's a direct correlation between the city council members, city sponsorship, and the flag raising of the Chinese Communist flag at city property location. So hopefully you guys would issue some sort of public statement so that concerned Millbrae citizens would stay together. Right now, we have a division. We have the post is going viral again. You guys can see at next door. Please speak up so that you can kind of ease our concern and make sure that we understand where you're coming from. Please make a public statement. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. City Manager, would you like to comment on that?
Yes. Again, just for the record, the flyer which was sent to me by a resident, that's how I became aware of it. City staff nor the council reviewed the flyer, even had any knowledge that it was being prepared. I actually don't know where it came from, but it was not authorized by the city, and we did not review it. I think in terms of issuing a public statement, we've had two press releases that have come out over the weekend and try to clarify things. We can send another one out. So I also think that in terms of the event itself, as I mentioned, any group that comes to the city and request to rent a room if it's available and they pay the fees, which this group did, we will rent the room. There are laws regarding hate speech and other display of things that we would consult with the city attorney's office in review. I do think that the resident brings up a good point that us as staff could tighten up the rules and regulations, so we will be bringing some ideas to the city council for further consideration that we can tighten up our rental policy and review process so things like this don't get out of control in the future, although there's really no way that we could have known or controlled this message because it was a private group, not sanctioned by the city, not part of the city.
And it's a slippery slope because we raised the flag for other occasions, so whose flag should we not put up?
Well, I think that's some of the policy where we've kind of blurred the lines between government and cultural events, and that's something that we will craft and be bringing to the city council for further review.
Look forward to that. Yeah, look forward to that.
3 hours later, the event organizers reapplied for a reservation. So at the time we sent out the information, it was real time. We did not know. And so that's what was happening there. So we tried to get the information out to the community as we knew it. But yeah, we didn't have any control of the applicant coming in to request again reservation of a room.
And we thank you, Ms. Lee, for coming here to employ the city to communicate and try to get firsthand what the information is, because there's obviously people out there who are just kind of grasping at facts and not being kind of loose with facts. And so it's the world we live in today. People get online, they can say whatever they want, and people have to really take the time to investigate what's going on. I've been accused of many things too, which I had nothing to do with this event, but I've been accused of the person who planned this and put this together. Like I said, this is an event put on by somebody else, and we have no control over what they do, except that we do monitor them for compliance with city regulations. And also we defend the First Amendment rights as they pertain. And so they met all those criteria, and we cannot say no if they meet all the criteria.
And Mr. Mayor, one other thing I'd just like to comment. I was talking to a member of the community, and I said, in anything like that, if you have questions, contact City Hall. We'd be happy to provide information. And the person said, well, it was on the weekend. We check our emails on the weekend. I personally check the emails on the weekend. We're here as a resource to our community to provide information, so please don't hesitate to reach out to City Hall to verify information that is associated with us as an organization to verify.
This is Councilwoman Leva.
So, Kitty, I commend you for coming to the top and finding the source and coming to exactly what our city manager just said. You should always feel free to contact the source. And the scuttlebutt, the discussion, everybody has a right to an opinion by all means, but when you have an opinion over nothing or an opinion over facts that don't exist, fallacies, that creates chaos. So if there is, Kitty, you could always call me. I know. And I think that I would probably resort to calling our city manager. So I think he's just opened that door to get the facts and get them straight and set everything, and then have your right to your opinion. And you could disagree or agree. But to discuss over to discuss back and forth riddles, pretty much. It was pretty much everybody fighting over each other was unproductive. So what you did tonight, I thank you very much for setting the story straight and getting the facts out.
Yeah, it was like yelling fire in a crowded movie theater.
Yeah, I think, at this day and age, the louder people are online, they just want to be louder. So I think it's really, we need to. It's not working?
We're all violating protocol here. This is not on the agenda. The comments were made.
Your mic's not working.
And I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you got to get we're going to Councilwoman Pappin's mic working.
Yes, we're responding to the public.
There we go. Yeah, forget it.
No, we're providing information.
But this is not an agenda item. I know the resident asked us to make a comment, but we are violating the law because this is not an agenda item, or it's not protocol here unless it's on the agenda.
Okay, I thank you for that, but I think giving the clarification is we're not making a judgment, we're just clarifying. Oh, we are taking action?
We're not taking action.
Okay, we're not taking any action. So,
but I think keeping the response.
I respect your advice. Thank you very much. Okay, so just know that this council has to abide by the Constitution, and we do, and we have sworn to uphold the Constitution. And so if everybody just realize that's what we're doing, then I think they'll understand. Please talk to City Hall. Okay, thanks again. Thank you, Ms. Lee, for coming up and talking. Okay, on to the consent calendar. I have two comments from number 6 and number 9. So, yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm getting there. Yes, I'm getting there. Yeah, so I just want to, we're pulling item 6 and number 9 off the consent calendar. We have 2 speaker slips. So I have 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Do we have a motion? We have 1. We have 2. So we have first and second. Will you please call roll?
Councilmember Pappin?
Yes.
Councilmember Oliva?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holliber?
Ruben.
How would I call Ruben?
Hey, they cut off his internet.
Okay. Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Okay. Items, consent item number 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Just making sure. Passed by the vote of 4-1 with Vice Mayor Ruben Holliver unavailable.
Okay, so item 6.
We just made, are you there? That's what you sounded like, too.
Oh, thanks. Should have Skyped. No, I was kidding. Okay, so Kathleen Kimura, in your beautiful happy coat. Where do I get one of those?
Good evening, Mayor and Council women. Thank you so much for inviting us to talk about Millbrae's 14th annual Japanese Culture Festival. I'm here representing our Japanese Culture Festival Committee. 2 members with me today, Masami Saisu and Naomi Yamaguchi. We're a 7-member committee working very hard to produce this year's 14th annual festival. But without the fantastic support of the City of Millbrae, we couldn't do it, and also the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce and all of our sponsors and our vendors, and we've got some very good sponsors this year, and we're working very hard to bring as many vendors as we can, and we've got quite a good lineup. Consul General and Mrs. Uyama will be coming down to the festival, and I'd just like to thank you for the support. Thank you for providing the venues. We just couldn't do it. I mean, we're basically a non-profit. Our fiscal agent, of course, is the Millbrae Chamber of Commerce, and they've been very supportive in allowing us to pass through our funds through them. So we keep it very transparent. So if you've got any questions, it's on October the 6th, out here in the library parking lot, and it's from 10:30 to 4:30. So happy to answer any questions.
No, it's always, Councilman Schneider.
I don't have any questions. I just want to tell the people of Millbrae, if you're watching, I've always gone to this, but I've always kind of popped in and out. Last year, we spent many very lovely hours. We went to the flower arranging class, and then we got to arrange flowers, and then they give you flowers to take home. You couldn't be more spoiled from this. They had just so many beautiful events and activities. We ate there, got to eat early because they sell out of all the great food there. So I really, if you've never come, I really encourage you to come on down. Ladies, you put on a fabulous event.
Well, thank you for saying that. I mean, it's a family event. We do have some good Japanese food vendors, and we have a lot of activities for children: origami making, calligraphy, kimono dressing. Lots of good stage performers, including Japanese flamenco, if you can imagine that. They were a huge success last year. And we have our Theatre of Yugen coming down again. They gave a very short play last year, and it just mesmerized a lot of people. It's all in English, of course. And it was very popular. So they're coming back again this year to do a very short drama play. So we're looking forward to everyone being here. And thank you so very much for the time.
And it's always the first Sunday of October.
It's always on the first Sunday in October. Nobody else can claim that day.
Somehow it's always sunny.
Well, we've only had one year where it was a little misty, but most of the time it's pretty nice weather.
So there's more incentive to go to the fair. And everybody in the city just loves this fair. So thank you for all.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to publicly thank Kathleen and her group for fronting capital so we can purchase our stage that they will be using. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for supporting cultural arts in Millbrae.
And also the Millbrae Cultural Committee also helped fund the stage. So I'd like to thank them as well.
Thank them both. Thank you. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve? Perfect. Okay. Please call the vote, please.
Councilmember Papin?
Yes.
Councilmember Aliva?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holliver?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor Lee?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6 passed unanimously on consent calendar.
Thank you. And item number 9, authorization to sponsor the 101st Airborne Division 2019 Bastogne Ball with the amount of $10,000. Mayor Colapietro.
Before the clock starts running on what I want to comment about, I just want to remind the council and our community that tomorrow on September 11th is the Day of Remembrance and Service. And I want to ask everyone to remember also that our very own Millbrae police officer, David J. Chikuti, was brutally murdered in the line of duty, and to please remember him in our thoughts for tomorrow because of his service. I requested the item to be pulled from the consent to provide council with a different perspective, that of many of our public. We have several women and men in our community who are serving in our armed services and hundreds of military veterans who have served. We are most certainly grateful for them and express our genuine respect for their individual and collective service to keep all of us safe and secure in our city and beyond. These comments are not in any way whatsoever to attack or disregard or disrespect any of them. Several years ago, the council members at the time voted to adopt an airborne military unit. I recall for a while there was some activity between Millbrae, our school students, and the unit. However, since that time, I don't recall hearing reports to our public of continued involvement with the unit, except perhaps twice. I respectfully request the council not approve a $10,000 gold sponsorship for a social event that is happening thousands of miles away in Nashville, Tennessee. The perks provided in exchange for the $10,000 of our public money can be better used for essential needs in our Millbrae community: paving more streets, replacing old infrastructure, downtown improvements, more frequent cleaning and power washing in the downtown, and funding for rising costs to build a new community center. On your staff report, it indicates that the prices given are prices as of this date. City departments constantly look to Lions, Rotary, Millbrae Community Foundation, businesses, and residents to help fund Millbrae's needs. Yet it is recommended that you give away $10,000 that can instead go a long way to help in Millbrae. Think of how our donors feel when they work very hard to raise money to be able to donate to our city needs, only to learn that this is being given away for a party that is in Nashville, Tennessee. I recommend a compromise that will show our ongoing support and gratitude for our troops. Make a $500 donation along with some type of plaque from the residents of the city of Millbrae to be sent along with the cash donation to arrive in time for the event. What really matters is an offering within our means without going overboard, especially during such turbulent fiscal times. Council has the obligation and responsibility to take care of Millbrae first. Just because the report says there are funds available and makes a recommendation for the payment of $10,000 doesn't mean you need to do so. I'm sure any donation amount will be gratefully accepted. This will show your true values. Thank you.
Any city manager? Do we have anybody who'd like to do a staff report or respond?
Other than just this was a request that we had received, and there's sufficient money for this allocation in the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget in the City Council's discretionary fund.
I see that there was in a report that's missing that this is not for a party. This is a fundraiser. It's for families of the 101st, for those who have fallen and for those who are serving. So we adopted this unit for that purpose. It's not strictly so people can party. So I think that's a misconception, and I apologize. That was not specified in the report. So I can see where Mayor Colapietro may have been misled by the report. There was that part in the report that was supposed to say that this is to support the families. So it is a fundraiser to support the families of the 101st and their troops who we said that we would adopt, and I believe that Mayor Cole-Page was on the council at that time too. So is whatever the council, any questions from the council? Yes.
Thank you, former Mayor Colo-Pietro, for your comments, and I think that you hit a lot of very good points. I'm almost thinking that when you look at the sponsorship, that it is a compromise of some sort. I mean, we could have been a little bit higher than that. And for the, I'd like to say what we do get for the $10,000. It is more than just a fundraising event. We get to sponsor different tickets and such. Are we going to be able to use those tickets? Are we donating those tickets? Is it going to be other than? Is there somebody to be representing us there for those 6 dinner tickets and those VIP passes?
No, some of those things just goes to servicemen. So we don't use it to go to servicemen.
Those that we sponsor.
Right.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I may, in the staff report, in the second paragraph under background, we do state that the Screaming Eagle Foundation is a nonprofit organization that supports families and deployed troops of the 101st Airborne Division. And so this is a fundraiser to support those troops and those families. And so this money will go to those families. So we did comment and state that in the report.
Thank you. Councilwoman Pappen.
Yeah, and for further clarification here, it's to support and celebrate the homecoming of the troop after a year-long deployment. And where were they? So they've been deployed for an extended period of time, and it's kind of a homecoming. We did commit as a council to support our troops. I would, again, none of us are going to this event. The funds go to the back to the Airborne Division, but I did think 10,000 was a little bit more than we should be spending at this point in time. I'd feel a little better if we cut that in half and went to the silver sponsorship instead of the gold, but that's just me.
Councilwoman Schneider.
I had the same thoughts that former Mayor Colo-Pietro had, balancing the needs here and the fact that we did adopt a unit and the fact that we don't have a lot of entities within the city that are supporting them. So we're not sending care packages, we're not sending Christmas or 4th of July letters, which is something we should be thinking about. And if there's the public out there watching and you would like to become part of us helping to maintain that relationship, please step forward and we'll try to figure out a way to do that. I think I read the same thing, too. It's going to the foundation. If you've been watching the news lately, the budget has been cut for schools for military children. They're getting fairly short shift right now in the federal budget. So I tried to say, well, 10,000, but I'd be happy with what Councilwoman Pappen said in the $5,000 range, too. But I also recognize that our tickets will go to those military people who can't afford those tickets. So at least we're showing respect to the people who are making sure that we can live and breathe every day here.
I could be that third vote.
Okay, motion?
Motion to cut it. I'd like to make a motion to take Councilmember Pappen's advice and cut this in half to $5,000.
Second.
Okay, I prefer the $10,000 because I don't think it's a lot of money. I don't think you can buy a lot of roads for $10,000. I think that our units, it shows our commitment to this unit, who sacrificed a lot for us, and they're still being deployed out there. And $10,000 doesn't go very far. So I think we should do more for our veterans, and I think we plan to. And I think it's kind of a slap in the face, but if you want to cut it in half, that's fine. I'll go with wherever the council goes, so you take the vote. Yeah, Mr. Vice Mayor Halber.
Ruben, do you have something to say?
He's speaking French.
It's not coming through.
Ruben, we can't understand you.
You want to text Ruben and I'll translate?
It's the internet connection.
Ruben, you're not coming across. Do you want to text Mayor Lee, and he'll read what you're saying? No. He probably doesn't hear me either. Mayor Lee, may I just help you with what your thought process is? For the most part, the additional $5,000 is ads in the paper. So, I mean, for the gold sponsorship and the silver sponsorship, if you look at the difference, we're still supporting the people to go to the dinners and the VIPs, and it's just a smaller ad.
It's not about the ad size. It's about the impact of $10,000 versus $5,000. Anyone call the question? You may call the question, but I just want to hear from Vice Mayor Holliver.
Yeah, there was a second already. So should we vote first and then?
I mean, go ahead. I mean, you call the vote.
We have a second.
Yeah, go ahead. Call the vote.
Okay, just for clarification, this vote is for the amendment of $5,000 sponsorship. And so, Councilmember Pappen?
Aye.
Councilmember Oliva?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Councilmember Holliber? Vice Mayor Holliber?
Ruben, vote. Can't understand him.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Okay, so consent item number 9 passed as amended in the sponsorship amount of $5,000 to the 101 Airborne Division 2019 ball. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. On to public hearing, there is none. Existing business. We have a report.
By the vote of 401 with Vice Mayor unavailable.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt you. And I just wanted to mention that there is, I think, Chinese translations. If anybody would like translations for the next parts of the agenda, you may request it. We have staff standing by. Thank you, Public Works Director Ki Lim.
Good evening, Mayor Lee, Vice Mayor Holliver, and member of the City Council, Ki Lim, Public Works Director. So tonight we have in front of you is a green infrastructure plan that we presented to you previously on July 23rd, and we are continuing the item to tonight so that we can provide additional time for council to provide comments to us. But by all means, this is not a static document. It will continue to be updated throughout the years. So if you have any comments in the future, please provide that to us. It doesn't have to be tonight. And one thing, like City Manager Tom Williams had mentioned, it is important that we adopt the green infrastructure plan by motion tonight, because the plan will need to be submitted, will need to be go to the state together with the annual report that is due at the end of this month in September. So what is green infrastructure? We all heard a lot about green infrastructure lately, and we also have a pilot program in Millbrae that we received a grant to CCAG to install our first ever green infrastructure by Taylor Middle School, and the project should be completed within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we will love to bring the council out there to demonstrate how this thing actually works. And to summarize it, green infrastructure is something sort of a media filter that we put in the roadway, constructing a little island. We put landscaping, greeneries on it, in hope of filtering out all the pollutants of concern so that we can comply with the stormwater permit. So together with all cities in San Mateo County, we've joined with CCAG, and we formed a group we call SMEC, with San Mateo County Water Pollution Prevention Program. And this is part of the state permit to stormwater, the municipal regional permit. And within the permit itself, there are 15 provisions, and provision C3 in particular is the guiding documents on green infrastructure. And they had to do with a new development and redevelopment type of projects. I'm going to skip over the milestone and then go to green infrastructure opportunities in Millbrae. So this is actually in the work plan. It's a pretty lengthy work plan. It's over 100 pages long, and it listed the proposed locations of potential GI in Millbrae. So at the time that we put together the green infrastructure plan, we created a city website, and it is housed in the homepage, actually within the department page. And this is the website address, and you are more than welcome, any one of you, go onto the website and look at the GI plan that we put together with San Mateo County and CCAG. So some of the potential green infrastructure, some of that you may have already seen, which is outside of City Hall, where we have the Zeroscape in front of City Hall, and we are also looking at the, we're going to be talking about the new recreation center after this item, and within the recreation center project, and there are some GI plan that we are proposing for the project at Central Park. So what is the next step? The next step is that we hope that council will approve the GI plan tonight, and then the plan will be submitted together with the MRP annual report to the state at the end of September. And then with the how are we going to implement the GI plan? So we are going to incorporate language into existing plans and policy, in particular the general plan, as we continue to update the general plan. And we are also going to be applying the strategies into the future designs of our capital improvement program, and also to encourage GI implementation in private developments. So with that, I'd like to answer any questions that any of you may have. And any of you would like a copy of the GI work plan, by all means, please let me know. I'll get you a copy of that.
Councilwoman Schneider?
When we briefly touched on this last July, I told you that I actually had read all 141 pages. And I used to be a technical reader, so I had my edits, and I thought I had sent them to you. And then today, when I was reading it, realized that I never sent them to you. So what Deputy City Manager has told me is it's a living document. So I'm going to send you over my comments. Some of them are technical. Some of them are trying to build out the area, the value of trees, especially with the work we're trying to do with ground-based noise in San Francisco, and noise. It's not green infrastructure for what this project is trying to cure, but it may help us with other projects. So making sure that all of our documents kind of say the same information all the way through them gives us, to me, more standing on that. So I'm really happy with it. I just have a few 4 pages of comments. But
thank you. We'll welcome your comments.
They're all little things, and things where my background would come through. So I'm even happy to sit down with you if we can do that.
Sure, definitely. Or if you'd like to email me the comments that you already have, we would love to look at that.
The document is too big. I tried to email it to you. I think that's how I didn't get it to you the last time. I got to get it to you on a flash drive.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion?
Ruben can talk now. Do you have a comment, Ruben?
Hello?
Did you want to say anything?
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Okay. I did look through the reporting. I think it's the same report that we've seen before. Do we have any type of, budget estimates of what it would cost to implement this plan?
We do not at this time, but as we continue to update our GI plan, we will have more engineers' estimates on that, and we could more confidently reporting back to the City Council in a percent increment how much implementing the GI would actually cost above and beyond the basic project, and we would love to do that in the near future.
Okay, so it would be built into the capital plan at some point?
Correct. That would be one of the strategies that we are discussing, which is to incorporate GI strategies into our capital improvement program.
So there's no particular project, Vice Mayor. There's no particular project. It's just that they're just presenting conceptions that they would move forward with on future projects. Councilwoman Pappen.
Yes, please. Two items, because I know this relates directly to possible funding for the future as well. Groundwater, is that an aspect of this? I know CCAG is giving out funding for, I don't know if it's groundwater preservation or some different things.
Absolutely. One of the many benefits of GI plan is the groundwater recharge. So that is something that we can tie into it in future grant opportunities.
Yes, so I believe CCAG does have funding in that area. What I'm not quite clear on here is El Camino Real and the Center Divide. Have we incorporated that into this opportunity? Because goodness knows we need that desperately.
That is on the more of a near to midterm type of project. There are some design guidelines that we are going to be working together with our community development department, and we will come up with some sort of a landscape improvement along El Camino as part of our specific plan project and exercise. And yes, it can be included. Depends on the location also.
Depends on the location. Okay, and Millbrae Avenue as well, I would hope.
That is correct, and potentially some of the transit-oriented development project within MSASP that can use some GI strategies, and also, like I mentioned earlier, the new recreation center, and that's a great potential for GI implementation at the project site.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, any other questions?
Ruben, anything else?
No further questions.
Councilwoman Schneider.
So once this goes to the state and it gets approved, then you're going to come back to us with specific projects for city activities. Is there a plan to help our residents figure out what they can do on their own properties? And I don't know if there's grant funding available. This is like the program that Bosqua has, where you can trade in your lawn for drought-tolerant landscaping and get a rebate per square foot. I know I know this is probably farther down the trail, but I know that there are several houses that I see in town that have pretty much concreted themselves in, and that's a big it drives a lot of water off the property line. So I'd love to make sure that as we roll this out, we also think of some plans that might be fairly easy for residents to implement, and that we keep our eye out on any programs that might help them get rid of their cement for a more permeable surface.
The answer is actually yes and no. The current focus is on larger scale development. For single family home landscaping, those are a little bit more difficult to achieve GI, and also the ongoing maintenance costs. But anything can change. As we learn more about GI, we might be able to come up with some small scale project that single-family residents can implement on their property.
That would be lovely, because given that we're, for the most part, well, I don't know if you can really say Millbrae's built out, since so much of our land along El Camino is slated for redevelopment, but our residential land is built out. So anything we can do to encourage residents to keep more water on site and stop dumping anything. And my other question, but I'm just really curious, where are our PCB sources? So when we sit down, I'd love to have the maps because we talk about PCBs in here, but I honestly don't have a good idea.
Okay, yeah, we'd love to
I'd
do
like
that.
to have a much better idea of where the toxins that we're targeting, are they all over town or are they only from certain areas? And if we can get that into the plan before it goes up to the state. If not, the next phase. Thank you.
Okay, so do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the green infrastructure plan. Motion to approve.
Okay, your votes, please.
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Oliva?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Hollower?
Aye.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 15 on existing business is approved by a vote of 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item, acceptance of the Recreation Center schematic design.
Elaine? Technical help. Can you go up the vaccine? Got it. Thank you, Elaine. So the next item is the rebuild of the Recreation Center. Then tonight we have in front of you, Millbrae City Council, is the acceptance of the schematic design. So most of you probably going to ask me, what is a schematic design? So schematic design is about at 30 to 35% completed design as we speak right now. So you have the site laid out, you have a lot of the building materials that have been selected, and then also the footprints, the exterior look, and everything like that. And we have spent the last, a good part of the last 2 years going to conceptual design, and then now we have got into schematic design. So we will have our group do a quick presentation and then receive comments from council before we proceed into accepting the schematic design tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Don Merkis with Group 4. Pleased to be here tonight to present to you kind of the last presentation of the schematic design. We did see you a few months ago and gave you a design update and substantial amount of details at that time. Tonight we kind of have our summary presentation, just hitting on a couple of additional information items that we had discussed at our last meeting when we presented to you, as well as the schedule update, the budget update, and just additional design updates. There is a recommendation tonight to accept the Millbrae Recreation Center schematic design package. So as we look at the project schedule, we actually submitted the schematic design drawings and narratives for the building system and outline specifications to city staff last month. And that is a set of drawings, probably about 70 drawings that include consultants' drawings from electrical, mechanical, plumbing, landscape, as well as architectural and structural. And along with that is outline specifications and narratives. So right on schedule with schematic design, and then really poised to start design development, which is the next phase of construction documents, which would then lead us to completing construction documents and then going out to bid and award. Update on the project budget. Got a new cost model based on the schematic design drawings and got that completed in August. So happy to report, able to stay right within the budget that was presented to you in January and then again updated to you in February this year. Really quite the feat with the challenging economic times that we have. Lots of great guidance from city staff as well as a lot of hard work from the consultant team. The project budget is broken down with the construction hard cost shown with the building and site, FF&E, signage and technology, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, with construction contingency on that, additional allowance for soft cost, And then included in that is the escalation at 5% per annum. That takes us to the midpoint of construction, estimated right now at August 2021. So the total project budget is in 34.3 to 34.8, as budgeted and presented to you earlier this year is 34.1 to 34.7. The site plan has not changed since we saw you last. Still new parking lot off of Lincoln Circle, new two-story recreation center, the Paseo connecting, starting up at the school, all the way through the recreation center, and by the new improved Laurel parking lot site as well. I was not going to take time to go through that in detail again unless somebody had questions. One of the things that did come up at our last presentation was questions of opportunity for public art. And so what we've done here is we've kind of annotated some locations on the site plan that we think would be great opportunities for different types of public art. We've started with kind of the standalone sculptures, which are shown here in the red. As you come into the parking lot at the drive, kind of a focal point at the entry to the center and to the Paseo, as well as the field art installations, which is a little bit more background and complementing the adjacent landscaping. And then the last one, which really ties into the green infrastructure discussion that you just had, is the opportunity for interpretive sustainable art, and showing that down at the bioretention area down towards the bottom of the Paseo right here, where you would have the opportunity to do public art that really celebrates the sustainable design strategies. Another item that we had questions on, and I don't think I did a very good job of explaining, was a section through the patio to the community hall out to the park area. And so if you look up here in this key plan in the top right of the slide, you can see this red line which indicates where the section is taken through the community hall. And then this section right here is how the building kind of forms to the landscape and to how the elevations of the site are. And it really kind of cascades down as you come from the school side of the park down towards the east side of the park, and really taking the opportunity to create the patio that comes out and supports the main hall, to our bioretention area, which steps down a little bit and creates kind of that semi-public public separation that I talked about, but then how it opens up to the park below and is still visually connected. And so it really can support both activities that are inside the building as well as activities outside in the park. There have been just additional refinements to the floor plan, but no changes at the first floor. As you come in the lobby, the stair and the elevator close by with the reception desk, staff spaces, preschool classrooms, the teen game room, fitness studio, supporting restrooms and storage spaces, down to the large community hall, which is also supported by a commercial kitchen. As we go to the second floor, there's conference rooms, as well as an art classroom, a senior lounge directly adjacent to a conference room, which it can expand into, additional set of restrooms, building storage, and 2 additional classrooms, which can act independently or be opened up as well, similar to the community hall on the first floor, which was actually divisible into thirds. And so now the last 2 exhibits that we have for you are just the updated renderings with the selected color palette and selected stone size that we had shown you at the last meetings. And hopefully the monitors are reflecting the color selection a little bit better and looks a little bit warmer. But really love the warmth of the stone and the opportunity for it to just engage the Paseo with transparency into the different spaces and the activities, and really kind of celebrate the nature that's in the park and the materials and colors of the building. Then moving to the opposite side of the building, kind of looking back up towards the coastal hills here, from east to west. You can see the community hall on the right side and the patio, and then the transparency, as I just mentioned, along the Paseo, the second floor balcony, which opens up to the senior lounge, the conference room, as well as the classrooms. And then the opportunity for the first floor spaces to really engage the Paseo as well from the game room and the fitness studio. And so with that, I conclude my brief presentation tonight, and happy to support and answer any questions with Key.
Any questions? I just have one comment. I noticed that there is a boardroom in the staff area. Given that we're always so pressed on space, is there any way we can make that boardroom also accessible in the public area?
So if you're referring to the conference room, which is located right here?
Break room, there's a break room, yeah.
The break room, yeah, there's no boardroom.
Break room, yeah.
We have a lunch kind of, the lunchroom is in the back here with the kitchen support space, just a place for people to prepare lunch, store lunches, take a break. And then in the front here, the conference room is accessible from the public and is indeed intended to be used by the public as well.
The break room?
So the break room is for staff, and that's similar to in the recreation center now, the small break room that's at the back there that supports kitchen functions.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if somehow we can make that break room accessible to the...
Yeah, but that would...
Well, we have to provide a break room for our employees.
Okay.
By law.
Can't we just...
I think Jennifer Lynn left, maybe we can...
Oh, I see. Can't be a combination break room...
Well, I think we can, if we have meeting space and needs for that, we can manage to needs and requests, depending on the event, depending on the request. But I would not make that a public meeting space, and I would not make that a public meeting room.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Anybody else? Have a motion? Vice Mayor, any questions?
Ruben?
Bonjour, Michelle.
Ruben?
Matin.
I feel like I'm horning in on his vacation.
No.
He's not there.
I think he's going in and out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I could text him again.
I already did.
Did.
Okay. If I have a motion? One. I need a second.
Hello?
Ruben, you have any questions?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I just cut out for a second. I just had a question about the timeline. In the presentation, I believe it said spring or summer 2022 opening. And in the staff report we received, it said December of 2022. So I was just curious about that discrepancy.
That is Vice Mayor Oliver. This is actually my fault. I did not communicate well with Don when I prepared the staff report. So Don is correct on the schedule. Just disregard the staff report.
Okay, thank you.
This is the design build process, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So can you take the vote, please?
Councilmember Pappen?
Yes.
Councilmember Oliva?
Yes.
Councilmember Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holliber?
Aye.
Mayor Lee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Item number 16 on existing business passed by the vote of 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item number 17 is informational process for regional housing needs assessment, RENA. And Community Director Brad Meiser.
I've got plenty on my plate. It's the deadline every
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening. Brad Meisner, Community Development Director. So we were asked to prepare a discussion about the upcoming regional housing needs allocation process. And so we've provided an information item for council. I'm going to ask Elisa Tierney, our Housing and Economic Development Manager, to come up to you and give the presentation. And then we're both here for any questions or comments that you have. Elisa.
Thank you, Brad. So let's see. Basically, I wanted to briefly discuss with you the regional needs housing allocation, or better known as RENA, and
Can you talk closer to the mic, please?
and what it means for Millbrae, and then have you provide staff with some feedback and guidance on whether Millbrae should participate with other San Mateo jurisdictions in the creation of a sub-region to allocate RENA numbers locally. Since 1969, California cities have been required to plan for housing needs at all income levels. And that is done through housing element law, and specifically our housing element, which we are required to update every 8 years. And in that, we have to identify certain numbers of housing units consistent with the RENA numbers, which I'll explain in a minute. And we also have to identify sites that are zoned appropriately for the affordable housing and all of the housing, in fact. And all cities must submit and prepare and submit timely the state housing element, and there are penalties in the event that cities do not comply with that time frame. So the state determines the number of new housing units needed and the income levels. So it's broken down. It's not just a total number, but it's also broken down by income levels, which we'll go over in a minute. Typically, this is done, it comes through the state, HCD, Housing and Community Development, to each council of governments. Ours is ABAG, and then ABAG distributes it to the local jurisdictions. In our case, in the past 2 cycles, San Mateo County has chosen to create what is known as a subregion. And instead of allowing ABAG to create a methodology, the jurisdictions in San Mateo County, the 21 elements is basically what was created for this purpose, defines its own methodology that is consistent and acceptable to ABAG and to HCD. And once approved, the housing numbers become the regional housing needs allocation and the regional housing needs plan for each respective city. So basically, the methodology of the state is one of those incredibly complex formulas, and it basically takes into account all current households, nets out group quarters, so those who are counting, are rooming together, and so. Yeah, and then adds in vacancy rates, overcrowding, loss of housing units by virtue of demolition, and cost-burdened households.
What's a cost burden?
Meaning a household that is paying well more than it should be, and so there are many people now who are paying huge portions of their income toward rent. And so while it might be seen as if they're perfectly housed, the reality is that they really cannot afford to live where they're living. And therefore, it would it would therefore undercount the need, the real need for affordable housing. So this, the state's exercise is the purpose to to identify the total housing need and then break it down by income levels.
And I think that formula is 40% of their income or more that goes to...
Thank you. Yes, that is the case. It is the case that all things considered, no more than 40% of their income should go to housing. So...
Crazy.
Okay, so the categories are, there used to be only 4 categories, and now there's a 5th. And that 5th is the first in the chart, which is extremely low income. That is oftentimes combined with very low income. Those 2 categories are for those who make 50% or less of area median income. And extremely low is defined as 30% or lower. That is extremely low. Low income is 80%. Moderate income is 120%. And just to make it clear, moderate income, which goes to 1.2 to 120% of AMI, is considered affordable, and it is considered income needy. How do I say it? Those who are income needy as well. So, yes. And then above moderate is market rate housing, and that's above the 120%.
And just for the folks at home, moderate, the AMI is currently, I think it's 68,000 and change.
I brought a chart, and in fact, I'm happy to provide you all this. Every year it changes. This year was the biggest increase in the history of the keeping of these numbers. San Mateo County, the area median income for a family of 4 is $136,800. You can make, as a family of 4, up to, for example, $164,000, a little bit over $164,000, and still be considered, that's still considered affordable housing. So our median income is the highest in the state. Next to, actually, it is the highest in the state, and it's tied with Marin County and San Francisco. It is even higher than Santa Clara County now. So those are the income levels. And the RHNA, the Regional Housing Needs Allocation, breaks those down by category. So each, again, as the cycle ends, each city is given its fair share, or its Regional Housing Needs Allocation, the RHNA. And in our case, the last cycle, we were allocated 663 units in total, of which 193 were very low, 101 were low, 112 were moderate, and 257 were above moderate or market rate. And the assumption on the above moderate, of course, is that the market will take care of them. There's nothing that needs to be done with respect to those, other than continue to be proactive and try and develop in the city. So in terms of what we have done so far, we have approved 2 projects, the TOD1 and TOD2 projects, that total, as you can see, 424 units of mixed income levels. And I'm not going to go through it, but just walking over the bottom line so far is for the 2015-2023 cycle, we still have, even though if we continue along the track that it looks like we're on, and those units are approved and built, the remaining obligation for very low income will still be 169. Low will be almost finished. Moderate will be 69 for a total of 239 units. They're not interchangeable income-wise, so if we still need very low-income units, if we haven't met our full need, we're still required to do so. They can't be swapped out for a higher or lower category. So important points, RHNA, again, is an obligation. We have to work diligently to meet it. And we are responsible for providing the housing units allocated in each income category. That's what I just said. And this means that we have a commitment of the units that I just went over. The RHNA Cycle 6 upcoming. There is word on the street from other regions that the increase is going to be very significant, somewhere between 50 and 225%. And that's because the state has changed its formula slightly. It's also because the focus it seems to be more and more on jobs-rich regions and requiring jobs-rich regions such as ours to provide more housing. And the other thing to note is that changes in state law will make it harder for sites to be considered as housing sites in the housing element. So it's kind of a double whammy. I'm not going to go through the timetable, but CCAG meets on Thursday night, to discuss this very issue. They will make a recommendation and then provide it back to each city for consideration. So you will have an opportunity to see what is being proposed on the RHNA cycle and subregions by CCAG. And the full process will be completed. Our housing elements are due December 2022, and there's a lot to be done in the interim. So next steps, we just wanted to discuss with you tonight what you were thinking in the way of the kind of process we should undertake, whether Millbrae is interested once again in the formation of a sub-region, or whether it wants to rely on ABAG as many other jurisdictions do. So those are the two options before you, and we're happy to have any discussion on it.
But Mayor, before the council, sorry, can you go back, please, to the table? Because I think our numbers on that table are incorrect. Yeah, they are. TOD2 and TOD1, and I apologize for that. There are 844 to 888 housing units just between TOD1 and TOD2. So we need to update that that table. I apologize for the oversight. But just both TOD1 and TOD2 are 844, or because of a 10% additional unit count on TOD1, it could be as much as 888 units. So we're well within and exceed, for the record, we exceed our RHNA housing numbers through 2023 by more than 200.
But just to clarify on that, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
So the numbers wise, yes, when you look at the total number, we're going to be we're outpacing what our RHNA allocation was. But again, and as Ms. Tierney indicated, we still have to meet each of the income categories. So there are areas where we do have a deficit in those areas.
Correct. I just want to be clear on that total approved number. It needs to be updated for the record.
Yeah. Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Well, I apologize.
Councilwoman Pappen.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get this up to date as quickly as possible here.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. And do we get a credit then moving forward if we're ahead of schedule? That would be one question. Question two, how does this work? We get credit for approved units. This seems to be the constantly moving question here.
That is a great question. In fact, for the first time, HCD is asking cities to document and submit projects that have been approved. The reality is that really what they want to see is the bottom line, and they want to see those that are built. So the only ones that count for arena count are units that on which the certificate of occupancy has been issued and they are considered complete. So while the state is making noises about being interested and wanting to know about project approvals, and they're asking us to submit that information, they're only counting toward the RENA, the built numbers.
But we don't control when the builder gets their act together or, gets everything approved here. We as a council approve projects. This becomes infuriating here as to people pointing numbers. First and foremost, whatever is on our website needs to be up to date as what we've approved. These outsiders will say, oh, well, Millbrae hasn't built anything and or approved anything. We need to be very specific as to the misinformation that gets out there, obviously from this weekend, but that has to be emphasized in any public documentation we put out there. Additionally, where do ADUs fall?
So I love that question as well. The ADUs, accessory dwelling units, are the in-law units or granny flats or second units that many people are now building. The state looks favorably on those, and that is a case where, because 21 jurisdictions in San Mateo County collaborated and negotiated with HCD, the state, is allowing all jurisdictions in San Mateo County to count ADUs toward the affordable housing requirement, the RENA requirement, by splitting it equally among the 4 categories. So that is something that the only reason on the chart it's showing 4, we have in fact completed in Millbrae 4 above moderate, 4 ADUs. And now if we split it, there would be 1 in each category. And the only reason the chart doesn't reflect it is because we haven't gotten, we've already submitted the report to HCD, and I wanted to just talk to the folks at HCD before we started saying that publicly. I didn't want to be inconsistent with the report we submitted.
With your ADUs. I had the ADU questions too, but so I was listening into the Planning Commission of a couple of weeks ago, and at least one planning commissioner said we've approved 44 or 48, or it was an oh my gosh number. So let's say those ADUs have been operating illegally. Do we get credit for those? Or is it?
We've approved them. How are they illegal?
And then the other part of that was the discussion at the Planning Commission was that a number of these ADUs probably were just going to house a future child coming back home or a future parents coming back home. So they're not really on the market. So how do we account for that?
Sure. Well, first, let me take your first question. So I will say this, that we're struggling a little bit with gathering our data, and that's a function of our permitting systems, and we're trying to tackle that currently. Mm-hmm. So we do believe that we've had a number of ADUs that have been approved, but getting the data about how many have been built, that's what we're trying to determine, the discrepancy between the 4 and the 46. The other situation is we do know that there are a number of illegal units out there. We'll have to come up with a way way in which we can figure out maybe what the universe of how many there are. And then, of course, at some point when we come back to council with the ADU ordinance that we're currently working on, there will be that question about how we may want to address illegal units in the city. So we'll have that conversation at a later date. I think some of the Planning Commission comments during the discussion item on ADUs did talk about, there are going to be some units where a property owner may just build an accessory dwelling unit for kids, for elderly parents, for family members, whatever, and they may never reach the market. That is quite true. But I also think the data suggests that there will be quite a market for units anyway. So the question then back to HCD is, if these units are built and they're only for family, can we try to get some credit? So I think we need to, as a city, keep pushing the boundaries a little bit. And because of the housing crisis, I think we ought to get credit for as much as we can do. So
I don't think you should be putting that in a question to them. You should just be counting it. I mean,
if I may, Ms. Ray, my updated information is that if there are legal accessory dwelling units and they become legal, or a permit is issued, building permit is issued, then they're counted towards arena numbers.
That's correct.
Right. So my point only in that discussion was the approach in which we try to get people to come in to legalize those units.
And as a legal, and if I may, as they legalize those and they become permitted on the books, we do get credit for those units.
Yeah, we have to be counting these numbers. So
we are.
ADU, authorized or not, numbers count overall, whether it's a family member or whomever, if it's being rented out. And we should be somewhat considerate of elderly residents that are placed in, or not placed, but choose to live maybe in the ADU instead of the bigger, that kind of thing, because their income is considered lower. So I don't know how we want to evaluate those numbers, but any number needs to count. And I would like to suggest to the council here that this data gathering has to be a priority, because what's coming down from the state is very, very serious. And we need to count every number that we can. Also, are we counting, there seems to be a balance, they seem to want to relate jobs to housing numbers. Okay, the number of, does anybody have any idea the number of jobs in Millbrae? I think we far exceed housing as far as jobs go here. So we need to get our employment numbers and our housing numbers figured out as quickly as possible here. And I know one jurisdiction in particular, San Mateo, is not willing to partner with anyone. So we're going to be limited in our partnerships if we are trying to collaborate with other jurisdictions.
Not very friendly.
So I have reached out to some of the other city managers, and I did hear from the Burlingame city manager that at least Burlingame is considering the sub-regional partnership as in the past 2 cycles.
Councilwoman
So
Snyder.
It looks to me then, since we can't count housing preservation in the formulas, and yet we've, or can we? Where does housing preservation fit in this? Because we've got some 2- and 3-story apartment, mainly more 2-story apartment buildings. If they're redeveloped, they're going to come back taller, bigger, more units, but they're not going to be affordable.
So anytime there's a building permit issued for a unit, an ADU, a remodel to take 1 unit, make it 2 units, as long as there's a building permit for that additional unit, we will get credit for it. It doesn't matter if it's for a family member or if it's being rented for free, the unit counts.
To me, it's more, how are we preserving our existing low-income units? And RENA may not be considering that at all.
Those are deed restricted. So we protect, if I may, Ms. Ray, we protect those through deed restricted covenants.
So, but can I suggest something
Yes.
along those lines too? Burlingame is doing something very interesting where if someone has 2 units, they want to turn them into 4 units, that they're giving some sort of a benefit to preserving the current tenants or helping them out so that the rents do not skyrocket or displace them. And I think even during construction, Burlingame is trying to relocate temporarily so that the property owner, of course, is going to get the benefit of double the units, whatever that is, and then the existing tenants will be able to move back in at their pre-existing rental rate. So the tenants are protected and we get more units and higher quality property, you would hope, with new construction that comes along. So can we look at what Burlingame is doing? I'm sorry, Ms. Schneider, I thought that was along the same lines.
No, it is. I go to most of the Housing Leadership Council workshops, and a year ago, none of the affordable housing people wanted to work on preservation. They wanted new construction, mainly because they were partnering with cities for a land swap to be able to build. But now, and I pay a lot of attention to what happens in Mountain View, and they are now going back to preserving existing units after having gotten rid of some really big projects. So I think the waves are happening. So you see Mid-Penn Housing Coalition now back to working on preservation, when a year ago they told me, no, Ann, we're not interested in doing preservation. But if we could get those kinds of units, we can do what the councilwoman mentioned. Mid-Penn runs good projects. There's one in the middle of my complex. And if we can get them interested, we could convert some of our pretty dilapidated affordables, but keep them affordable.
So the way it works is there is a life cycle for affordable units. And as City Manager Williams was saying, in the event that the deed restriction wears off, or I don't know how you say it, terminates, thank you, then it's just going to be market rate. Somebody may pick it up and meaning purchase it and renovate it and then charge higher rents, at which case that's market rate. You don't get any credit for that, even if the units are preserved. However,
buildings are deed restricted, though?
We are aware of the deed restricted units we have.
Information. I'm just curious how many buildings we have that are deed restricted.
They're deed restricted and they're agreements from the previous redevelopment agency, so we can get that data to the city council.
I would think that that's baseline data we should have at our fingertips. Just
right. Okay. The only mechanism for us to deed restrict at that time was under the redevelopment agency under housing law at that time. There isn't anything currently under. Well, I was going to say under housing law, but that's not true. So new development is the trigger. So existing development, it's only if redevelopment law provided funding for those units, and that's how we've deed restricted them.
Or community benefit.
Or community benefit, right.
Through the specific plan.
So through the specific plan as the new projects, TOD1 and TOD2, have been approved.
So along the line of the question you're asking us tonight, should we be a part of a community effort or not? And we are predominantly residential, and we're almost the opposite of Brisbane, which is about 80% commercial, 20% residential. We're about the opposite direction, and it makes it very difficult to fill potholes and provide services, bring water costs down, any of those things. So if the state, if we're dividing up, if we're a member of all 21, or now it sounds like 20 communities, do we get hit with more housing when we're already more housing predominant? That's my one concern about being part of a team. Generally, I like being part of a team, but I don't trust that they're giving us numbers and saying, oh, look, that great new Facebook building Burlingame just built, you got to house all those. Millbrae, you house them, and we don't get any commercial benefit from it. That's my main concern about becoming part of a team.
Well, if I may, I think that if we develop a sub-region, we will have more input and say, versus if we don't, if we go it alone, then we will just have to accept what HCD in the state of California comes up with and allocates to us. And then there is a process within that we can actually appeal HCD's decision. I think, I believe staff's recommendation is to move forward with a sub-region group. However, part of CCAG's recommendation, I believe, may be that we use a consultant. 21 Elements is a term for the 21 planning directors, community development directors. There's a consulting firm that CCAG has hired, and in the past they've gone away, they've come up with their consultant numbers and said, here are the numbers that we are recommending, that I think everybody pretty much just said okay.
Well, I think you need to correct what you just said there. 21 Elements is not the 21, it's the consultant. We would like it to be the 21 cities individually represented.
Yeah, I guess my point there is that the city of Millbrae needs to have a seat at the table to be part of the formula and to have a say in the allocation, rather than having a consultant go back to their office, generate numbers, and throw them out and say, Millbrae gets this X amount, San Bruno gets X amount. That we really need to be a participant in this and take an active and leadership role in the formula.
And if I could just add to that too, I think that's a great point, because what's likely to happen if ABAG were to take charge of it, they're going to look, of course, at San Mateo County regionally and say, look at all the job creation, look at the fantastic access to transit, and they'll sort of make more of a generalization about how those units ought to be allocated. Whereas if we are in a sub-region situation, then with any luck, we'll have a chance to talk about some of the nuances that we have for the city of Millbrae, and have some input and influence over what our numbers look like.
And I think we have more strength, Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, as a collaborative local sub-region than each individual city trying to communicate and debate with HCD on their housing allocation. I think strength in numbers is important.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So my experience on San Francisco Airport Noise Roundtable is we were collectively working together, but in reality, the entire county dropped the ball on, and basically it's, well, Millbrae, you knew that you were next to an airport, live with the noise. So I'm a little gun shy after the EIR, the totally inadequate EIR done by San Francisco in its previous round. And I'm just worried, Tom, you and I know we've been talking to Charles Stone about the Caltrain issue, that quite often people tend to say, well, Millbrae doesn't fight very hard for itself. So I can go along with this if I know we're going to fight for ourselves.
Yeah,
and we're going to fight hard.
I have not talked to Charles Stone, but I will tell you that it is a new day for Millbrae, at least for the city manager and staff, that we are fighting. And I think, again, like I said, strength in numbers to fight the state of California is extremely important. I shouldn't say fight, to debate. We are going to get a number, I'm telling you, that's going to be totally unrealistic for our community to achieve.
I think a partnership would give us more strength, and like I said, strength in numbers. I agree with that, and I think that's always been my view.
Yeah, I think it's important that our staff be at the next CCAG meeting to express this opinion. We need to get our numbers accurate.
Sure.
Because, and we're going to have to convince the other CCAG members to support this. We need to start acting as a group, all the 20 cities. I've learned this now on the Metropolitan Transportation Commission. $100 million is being given to San Jose for their transit center. It's insane that Millbrae did not receive funding like that when our transit center was being developed. And I think it's previous staff, and it's just crazy since we have the largest center. I'll be bitter forever on that one. So this is something that we need to work closely at, and our representative on ABAG, the mayor, we have to ask for stronger and more accountable representation from ABAG, because the representative from ABAG on MTC votes opposite of what ABAG votes on.
Yeah, I think
there needs to be.
I plan to have a conversation with them at the.
We can't accept being treated differently in any way, shape, or form, and particularly at the state legislature. Senator Wiener, who treats San Mateo County different than Napa County.
Right.
This is appalling. So we have to get our act together here. I do believe we would have strength in numbers, but as I think our city manager was trying to point out here, we cannot turn this over to the consultants who are the 21 elements. They have their own agenda here. I have their cycle RENA number kind of thing here. It's all part of the agenda for CCAG coming up. We as cities, I hope the city manager will reach out to other city managers that we're not going in cold on Thursday so that we can represent ourselves here in whatever sub-region we can come up with.
Okay. Is that it? Thank you.
Yeah, there's no action that's needed.
No action. It's just information.
Except get our numbers together.
Yeah, we need the numbers, please.
We will do that.
Okay, so can we do a quick round of council comments? Councilwoman Oliva.
Yeah, I'll make this.
We have a closed session.
I picked one out of the whole time off here to do, and that was I went to Hart today, and ironically, that subject a special meeting on the accessory, the ADUs. And Daly City, South San Francisco, Belmont, and Redwood City have already established their ordinance. At Hart, they're taking the lead to have blueprints of 4 different designs that the cities can participate in. They're going to ask the cities to be at a table, and I know that we had a workshop here in Millbrae, but hopefully they'll be knocking on the door again once their timeline is completed for designs, probably in about a month, and in April they should be ready to be across the counter. San Jose has a 1-day approval. So you go to the counter and you pick your design and you get it approved and you can put it on your house, get it built. They're talking a little bit about prefabs too. So they might have one example of something that would be a prefabbed ADU that you can put together. It's moving quick, and I'd like to see our city move quick with it. And then finally, I just wanted to make a remember of what happened in San Bruno on this day as well. And there was lives with PG&E that were lost. And I just, every year, have to say something about that and take a moment to think about those people.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Schneider.
Well, for an August month off, it wasn't much of an August month off for me. The San Francisco Roundtable met. New monitors, they're rolling out the new monitors for sound detection around San Mateo County and San Francisco. Sadly, they're putting them in the same place. What that means to those of us, the type of noise that most affects Millbrae, ground-based noise, the monitors may not necessarily pick up that noise. So we have a ground-based noise meeting next week, and the main topic will be trying to figure out where to place portable monitors to try to figure out where that sound is affecting our homes. In the short term, only 3 homes in Millbrae qualify for the insulation program. 21 Millbrae residents have applied for it, and none of them fall within the 65 decibels, so none of them qualify for the Second Chance program for home insulation. So we are working on the decibel, because 15% of the flights do take off directly over us the way they take off over San Bruno. If people haven't heard by now, runway 28 left has been closed. It closed on Saturday. It'll stay closed until the 27th, assuming that there's no construction problems. That means that flights are delayed. The airport worked a lot with their airlines to try to reduce the number of flights to begin with, but they've also they've shortened the nighttime, which is normally between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m., but you're now going to be hearing a lot more flights right in that 6 o'clock hour than you would have heard before, because they're trying to get the morning flights out so that they don't fall as far behind. But the reports all week have been that they're falling way behind. The city has been very good at alerting people that the roads are going to be impacted in Millbrae. I've been down there twice. I haven't seen a huge problem down there, but I'm keeping an eye on it. Again, ground-based noise will be meeting here in Millbrae at 9:30. It's a special time on Monday, the 16th of August, 16th of September. People, please come on down and learn a little bit more about noise. We conducted the tours for all of the grants for bicycle pedestrians for the TDA 3 grant. I've got to tell you, there is some really good competition out there. I know Millbrae is in there. I actually haven't graded all the grants yet. That will be coming through in October, but we have a meeting in a couple of weeks, and staff should be prepared to fight hard because all of the applications are really good. Millbrae Cultural Arts Committee met yesterday. They are looking for a date for the 2020 art show, which is most likely going to be in March. Staff is checking on that. The good news, the long-awaited utility box project, the two young 7th graders, I think they might be 8th graders now from St. Dunstan's, began the first mural and the first utility box in Millbrae this last Sunday, right in front of Living Spaces. I want to say thank you to both Sherman Williams and to Kelly Moore for paint and painting supplies. But the young lady started the project. They've put the base coat on, and they'll be working on the final artwork over the last couple of weeks. And what was really fun, and I don't know if Public Works did it, but thank you, Public Works, because they put cones around it, and people came by and watched and asked questions, which is exactly one of the intents. That we're now waiting to coordinate the young woman from Taylor Middle School for that. The solicitations to Cappuccino and Mills High School students are going out. The representatives, the committee members of the Millbrae Cultural Arts Advisory Committee are trying to reach out to the school teachers. So if we have any assistance that we can help with the principals or the art teachers so that we can get as many submittals as possible. And the senior mural projects are coming through in the next couple of months. So we'll have some new designs coming through probably in the late November, early December time frame, unless we get the submittals right away from students. The chief is here, so I hate to say anything incorrectly, but we are moving ahead with the city's first Disaster Preparation Day. We still keep calling it tentatively on Saturday, November 16th, but I think we're getting pretty locked into that date. We're getting more and more partners for this. It is intended to help people create their all-year-round go kits. Things like medical prescriptions, a spare pair of glasses, tennis shoes, a change of clothes if you've got to grab it and run out of your house. It's also intended to help people look at their homes and create defensible space. So I would encourage everybody listening to please put this date. It's also a community date. We're going to have as many community groups down there, especially those that have a relationship to disaster preparedness or disaster recovery. And come on down and join us. Hopefully, the pink fire engine will be there, and I would love to have groups come down and take photos in front of the pink fire engine. I think it's going to remain pink at least through 2019. The other thing that we haven't talked much about, but it's really clear after watching the disaster in the Bahamas, is for all of us to have a communication plan with our loved ones that are outside the area. So, Chief, we haven't talked about that, but we need to have a training class on how to set up the communication tree so that we're not impacting cell phone usage for the professionals that are rescuing, but you can still tell your friends and family you're okay. So we'll add to that. And with that, if you got your bill from the garbage company, you'll notice, for the first time I've ever noticed this, they're letting you put out extra organics. If you've got an extra container, this is great. If you're cleaning up and getting ready for the wintertime, you don't have to fit everything in your cart. You do have to call the day before garbage. So look for your garbage bill when it comes through. This is a new service from South City Scavengers, and I can only say thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Pappen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, I'm not sure if this is still going on, but the survey on the access study to the station, I believe you can download that. Please take the survey if you use BART in any way, shape, or form. It's important we get as much information regarding that survey. And access to the station. Remember, they will be removing 500 parking spaces once the development has been completed, and another 200 would be restricted. So access at this point in time is important and will be impacted, so be heard on that front. I'd also like to note that the city of Burlingame, again, Streamline, they're looking at parking messaging, which we, I think, mentioned in our dealings with BART, so that people don't drive around and pollute the air trying to find a parking space. It would tell you exactly what parking spaces are available, and that's what they're doing within their city. So our parking lots are small, but if we have any signage that can prevent people from driving around, Streamline is the company. I would hope that we can look into that to have similar information accessible to anyone trying to find parking in Millbrae. Congratulations to the Art and Wine Festival. I think that was a big success again. We had a cooling station as well. And the one thing that was mentioned by some of the vendors is that more facilities be made available, because a lot of the stores and restaurants were not allowing people in. The Moon Festival was great. Now that the mayor has learned to cook from Martin Yan, we're looking forward to his expertise here. That was really a lot of fun, so thank you very much.
I'll invite you over for dinner.
Yeah, come on. Movie night's coming up again, which has been a great success. And MTC, which is the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, has been meeting on transportation plans as well, and what they call Regional Measure 3, which is the last regional measure that passed regarding transportation funding, which is currently in litigation, so nobody's going to see any of that till the litigation clears. But there are projects throughout San Mateo County, hopefully, that will be. Jarvis is still appealing. So we hope that that will be cleared soon, and the Japanese Cultural Festival that's coming up in the first part of October. Just want to remind everybody, it's a great event, so come on down. Thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor?
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Through so well.
You're not going to tell us you're shopping? Yeah. Okay, let's see again. Thank you to Martin Yang for volunteering his time to help the first annual Mid-Autumn Festival become a success. I want to thank our fellow council members for supporting the event and the community. And again, Beats and Brew this Thursday, right? 5 o'clock downtown?
Correct. Apparently I'll be at a CCAG meeting, but...
Yeah. And then, let's see, PCE, Peninsula Clean Energy, are working to create more grants. They're hiring a director to work on energy savings initiatives. So and they're continuing to grow, and they're actually looking for more office space because they're growing so much, and they've been very impactful. And they're still undergoing the PG&E lawsuit, and I don't think that's going to affect them that much. I mean, the bankruptcy. So I think we're okay there. And at the last ABAG meeting, I think I talked about it last time. Yeah, so we will address the wayward ABAG person on the MTC board. And thank you. Councilwoman Schneider just gave this to me to remind me that on September 16th is the Lions golf tournament, and there's still space available. It's all the money I think they're raising for the community center, so all your money will go for lunch, dinner, prizes, and the community center. So it's a great opportunity to play at Green Hills Country Club. It's a premier country club, so if you ever wanted to play in the country club, this is a great opportunity to do that. And you can volunteer. You can contact, you can go look it up on Eventbrite, or you can go to jortega.pcc@gmail.com. Okay, thank you. And then also the Mayor's Cup coming up. What, October
20-something?
20, can't remember. 24th, I think it was. We'll come back to that.
Love it, Mr. Mayor.
So we want to thank the Man, Woman of the Year and Youth Awards have been announced, and we want to congratulate Paul Larson, Karen Pettucci, and Virginia Lim? Desiree Lynn. Desiree Lynn. Yes, they're all well deserved, and the city's very grateful for their contribution. Also, we opened up, I think, 2 EV GO stations, which are Type 3 charging stations, and I think they are adaptable to. They're not? No, I was told they're adapted for Teslas, but I was going to say I was wrong.
They're supposed to be, and we're looking into it. It doesn't work.
Oh, okay. They're supposed to. And then the Rotary Mayor's Cup tournament is when?
So that will be Thursday, October 24th at Crystal Springs Golf Course. People can sign up online on the city's website at www.bit.ly/MIL-golf. Or you can contact us at 259-2360.
Okay. Or they can just Google it. Okay.
Correct. That's the easiest way.
And then the Italian Catholic Federation's having their annual polenta feed on September 22nd at St. Dunstan's at 5 o'clock. Cocktails at 4, $30 a person. RSVP at 650-692-4029. I think you better hurry because deadline's coming soon, September 17th, and it goes by fast, and the event's on September 22nd, Sunday, September 22nd. We have a few sad notifications, and we want to close our meeting for Charlie Silveria. Silveria? Is that? I can't say it. Silveria. And a former New York Yankee, pitcher for Yoga Berra. He was quite the career and pitcher. Yeah. And we also want to close our evening towards George Lamb, who's been a city philanthropic person. His wife Alice passed away at an early age. Our condolences, as well as to Kirkbridge's husband Eugene has passed away, and that's sad. He's been you see him around all the time. And somebody from our family, city family, Dave Martinez's son. What's Dave's? What is that?
Mason Martinez.
Mason Martinez passed away, and that's and we all give our prayers to all the families, and our city is a loss. So I asked the city council and the city to bring me some happy news next time about births, and that would be nice. Now some births. We are going to close tonight, and we're going to go to closed session to discuss the 2.3-acre parking lot bound by Millbrae, Linden, Sarah, and Redwood Railroad Avenues. Thank you for attending. Good night. Hey, I thought we'd get out earlier. What? The council meeting's already being taped.